With a whopping 3.5 billion followers, no sport in the world is more popular than football. And so it's no wonder that the best footballers in the world, people like Messi, Ronaldo, Neymar or Neuer, are no longer just athletes. They are among the most famous, influential, and wealthy men of an entire generation. But what do the best footballers in the world actually do off the pitch when they are not training or giving interviews? How do footballers live from this format privately, and what kind of people are behind the biggest names of the FUP? In this video we present you some of the currently best footballers in the world, and show you how they live privately. There are surprisingly cultured footballers, players whose lives are more reminiscent of gangster movies and modest family people. So stay tuned, because it will be very interesting here at Brain Bites. Oh, and be sure to write us in the comments who your favorite player is. We are curious. Let's start with a man who is not only one of the best offensive players in the world, but also a real national hero in his home country. It's about the Egyptian Mo Salah, who played his way up to the absolute world class at Liverpool FC in recent years. Above all, Salah remained true to three things privately. For almost 10 years, he has been married to biotechnologist Maggie Salah, whom he met while still at school. Together with her and his two daughters, he lives in a villa in a suburb of Liverpool, where he spends most of his time with his family. The second thing he has always remained faithful to is his religion. As a practicing Muslim, he still aligns his daily routine and diet with his religion. So every day during the day he completes the 5 daily prayers of Islam, the first of which usually already at 5 o'clock in the morning during sunrise. In addition, he adheres to Ramadan, even when important games are coming up, and consistently eats halal, so, among other things, renounce alcohol and pork. But he also always remained true to his values. Salah is known for his modesty and has repeatedly donated millions of euros, for example to hospitals against hunger or to build football pitches in poor areas. And he campaigned for women's rights in the Islamic world. For many Muslims, Salah is therefore a real beacon of hope, as he has a positive influence on the partly negative image of Islam in the Western world. Even if, for example, he has already been criticized for celebrating Christmas normally with his family despite his religion. Salah also remains loyal to his native Egypt, so he travels as often as possible to his hometown Nashraish and cultivates his contacts there. Salah also owns a house in Cairo, but its address was leaked in 2018. Causing thousands of Egyptians to besiege Salah's house. Incidentally, the striker also likes to spend his free time in Liverpool with sports, especially with his daughter Maka. He regularly trains in the garden or in his home gym, and is also passionate about playing table tennis and basketball when time permits. Oh, and of course he takes pictures with fans almost every day, like this boy who ran after Salah's car and ran into a lantern. The next player on our list has tremendous hope right now. The signs are good that he could win the Ballon d'Or as FIFA World Player of the Year for the first time in his life this year. We're talking about Real Madrid superstar Karim Benzema, also known as. Unlike Salah, he lives a life that only rappers lead. It starts with his house. Benzema lives in a modern Bauhaus villa near Madrid. The villa includes a walk-in closet where Benzema stores an impressive collection of luxury clothing and luxury suits. He has many parts from Louis Vuitton, Gucci, and other designer brands, and even owns many pieces that have not yet been serially released. In addition, Benzema is also an absolute sneakerhead, and thus has his own room just for his $100,000 shoe collection. But he doesn't just spend a lot of money on fashion. Benzema also has an impressive car collection of 10 cars. These include a McLaren, a G-Class, a Bugatti Chiron, and a custom-made Bugatti Veyron, of which there are only 5 in the world. He prefers to drive his Audi 6 rupees to training. On the other hand, he likes to drive his sports cars on professional racetracks as a hobby. Just like Salah, Benzema also plays other sports in his private life, so he has his own gym and goes jogging daily with his German Shepherd Doki. By the way, he prefers to listen to old American rap, for example from Tupac. Incidentally, Benzema also has a preference for the States and therefore regularly vacations in Los Angeles. Until a few years ago, he was also regularly spotted there with singer Rihanna, with whom he is said to have had an affair for several years. However, he has been in a relationship with model Cora Gaudier and lives with her and his children. Nevertheless, Benzema's gangster image is not entirely unfounded. Off the pitch, the Real Madrid star has also run into problems with the law in the past. In 2015, he blackmailed a teammate of his with a very intimate video of him, and only a year before he was on trial for another crime. Benzema is and remains apparently a bad boy, even if he seems to have calmed down a bit in recent years. Next, we come to one of the best midfielders of his generation, Kevin De Bruyne. De Bruyne, who plays for Manchester City, lives there in a villa whose location and appearance is not known from the outside, as De Bruyne attaches great importance to his privacy. However, he and his wife Michelle Lacroix also own this villa in the Belgian town of Boulderberg, where the family wants to retire after Kevin's career. De Bruyne lives in Manchester with his wife and the family's 3 children. Every day, the family is cooked by De Bruyne's personal chef Johnny Marsh, who has also cooked for other Premier League professionals. Otherwise, De Bruyne lives very withdrawn. He and his wife are rarely seen eating or shopping in the city of Manchester. Otherwise, De Bruyne is described by friends and relatives as shy and reserved. But this is not surprising, because De Bruyne has already suffered some private setbacks in his life. So his last girlfriend went to him with his teammate and goalkeeper Thibaut Courtois. In addition, at the age of 15, he was banished by his foster family because they could not cope with him. However, thanks to his wife Michelle, who, according to De Bruyne, is his most important support in life, these times are forgotten. Instead, he and his family are now regulars in the Maldives, where they spend most of their holidays. Let's continue with a player who is second in many ways. He was the second most expensive transfer of all time, the second youngest player ever to score a goal in a World Cup final, and only the 3rd footballer after Capital Bra named a song. Oh, and by the way, it's listed on Instagram as a local business. We're talking, of course, about France's mega talent Kylian Mbappé, who has been playing for PSG for 5 years. Accordingly, Mbappe's life takes place mainly in Paris, where he now owns 2 properties. According to French media, he lives most of the time in a 2-story penthouse in the middle of downtown Paris. The apartment will measure 600 square meters, has a spacious terrace with jacuzzi, and is also only a few minutes away from game and training facilities. Due to its excellent location, Mbappé owns one of the most expensive apartments in France. In addition, he is said to own another villa in the Parisian noble district of Neuilly-sur-Seine. Before Mbappé bought these 2 properties, he lived in the Parisian luxury Hotel Royal Mansur for almost a year. Mbappé spends most of his free time with his hobbies. Unexpectedly, Mbappé is not only sporty, but also musical. According to his own statements, he is learning to play the piano and is also said to be passionate about singing. Apart from that, he does many other things that show that he has remained young or is still young. Just like Benzema, he collects sneakers as a hobby. He also plays video games in his spare time and has been spotted as a spectator at professional tennis tournaments. In addition to these hobbies, Kylian Mbappé has also been trying his hand as a businessman off the pitch for some time. With KM, he founded his own brand, which sells functional clothing and caps, among other things, and even published his own children's book about his life. Like many other football stars, he also invests part of his money in cars. But the funny thing is that at the age of 20 he got a Ferrari for almost €500,000, even though he didn't have a driver's license at the time. But you don't have to be able to do everything. Last but not least, we come to a Bundesliga player, and thus probably the most effective goal machine there is today, Robert Lewandowski. In fact, he lives with his family, namely in the highest skyscraper in Poland, the Slota 44. There, the Lewandowskis live in a spacious luxury apartment and can thus use the hotel's own swimming pools, a cinema, a playground, a golf simulator, and a home gym. For seasons, the Lewandowskis also have a property in Munich, more precisely, a villa in the noble district of Grunewald. The Polish international striker is one thing above all else off the pitch, a family man who loves his privacy. That's why he likes to spend time with his wife Anna, who is a professional karate fighter, and with his 2 children. Together, The family even runs a TikTok account where they share excerpts from their lives and funny clips. Since both woman and Mr. Lewandowski are professional athletes, the family naturally pays a lot of attention to nutrition, which is why Anna and Robert have even considered their own nutritional concept. Namely, they eat the dessert before the main course to better stimulate digestion. In addition, the Lewandowskis also like to spend time in the larger family circle, which they like to take with them on trips. If you like this video, subscribe Brain Bites, so do well.